Welcome to the course. Day one, we're going to Iceland, where the weather is either beautiful or the absolute worst. I managed to take one of my favorite images of the year so far on this shoot, this one here. We're going to talk about the gear that I'm using, how I pose people, and how you yourself can book a shoot in Iceland or anywhere else in the world. We're here today in Iceland. It's actually sunny. We're excited to take you on a little bit of the behind the scenes of how we get the images that we take. With me today, I have the Tamron 85mm lens and also the Nikon 28mm lens. This is usually what I bring for most shoots, just because this fits in my pocket and I don't have to carry a bag, kind of like that. And the 85 is usually my go-to. Hopefully the weather stays like this because there is, as you can see, no wind, no rain, and almost a blue sky, which is super rare for Iceland. The way I pose my couples, I wouldn't even really call it posing. Basically, the goal is to inspire them to just be normal. Sometimes that takes 30 seconds to get there. Sometimes it takes 30 minutes. But the number one thing that I do to keep my couples relaxed and to stop them from overthinking every detail of what they're doing with their hands and their feet and their face is that I keep everyone moving. It's rare that we ever spend more than 30 seconds in a single spot. All right, right there should be good. And yeah, you can just face each other and just get nice and close. Because of the style of always moving and walking and stopping and turning, it makes me the absolute worst photographer in a studio. If you give me studio lights and a white backdrop, I am bored out of my mind. I like the challenges that shooting on location gives, where the sun is never in the same spot and it's rarely ever exactly where you want it to be. I think that the imperfections created by that are what make the images actually feel real and personal. I know that there's a 0% chance that any of my couples have a white wall studio image of the two of them hanging in their house anywhere. And probably the only time that my couples actually sit in front of a white backdrop is to get their passport photo taken. One of the things that I'm always aware of is giving context to a scene, whether it's a wedding day or engagement shoot. I always get the wide shot and I always get the close up. As a one-off image for Instagram, just showing one is fine, but to really connect the story of the day in the gallery, you need both. In cinema, you're supposed to get the wide, medium, and close up. I think it's good practice in photography as well. At the next location, the sun is not at all where I want it to be, so I use Brant's head to create some shade for Jessica's face. But as long as you get your foreheads kind of nice and close together there, that's perfect. And even if you want to give her a kiss on the forehead there, perfect. Looks great. Maybe a kiss on the cheek, how about that? Other cheek, that one there. Perfect. You might have noticed earlier that I shoot primes, and today it's a 28 and a 58. I don't do this to be an elitist photographer that only shoots primes. I do this for consistency to the story. When you're looking through an entire finished wedding gallery, sticking to just 2 focal lengths at a time makes the entire wedding gallery feel a lot more cohesive. Kind of like how it's weird to design a page on a wedding album with both black and white and color images all mixed. I find the same if you add a photo that's super wide or at 200mm out of absolutely nowhere. I love the horse. The horse is so funny. So what we have here is the couple spaced out, a horse off in the side ground, and a really cool looking image. I really actually like that. On a wedding day, I'll photograph sections of the day on different lenses, generally a 24, 28, and 85 for getting ready. Ceremony and family photos, I'll use a 70-200 2.8, and then at the reception back to an 85 and 24. I like the look of the 85 way better than the 70-200, but during the ceremony, I need to be able to react quickly, and I don't want to be the guy running all around the church to get the shot. This is the optimal time for the horse in focus and you guys out of focus watching the horse photo. It's a very iconic photo. That looks good. And if you guys want to hold hands and just kind of walk out diagonally kind of that way. And you can just, that looks good. And you guys can just look at each other. Perfect. And maybe come this way just a little bit, just so you're not staring directly into the sun. That's better. Better situation. That looks great. And now the question that I know is on your mind. How can you book a shoot somewhere else in the world, like Iceland or wherever your dream destination is? And full honesty, the first one is not going to make you a lot of money. If I could go back in time to when I first started photography, I would spend the money to travel and build my dream portfolio rather than just letting it organically happen. I spent about 5 years of my career just shooting any weddings that I possibly could. These weddings then booked me other weddings that were just like them. Whatever you're showing, you're attracting. Super happy with that.
Okay, cool.
Cool, good stop.
I wanted to start shooting weddings all around the world, but I waited for that first inquiry to come in. What I would do now is tag along on as many trips with friends as possible, even if it involved driving 12 hours and sleeping in my car to do a shoot in a big city with friends that I knew were comfortable around me. I would 100% spend the time and money to do that. The more travel shoots that you do, the more that we'll book, and the same goes for destination weddings. Right now at the shoot here in Iceland, we are getting into the beautiful magic hour. I would recommend any shoots that you do them as close to this time of day as possible. Usually it's about 2 hours before sunset, but if you go to Iceland in June, it's just 24 hours of daylight. So this was probably around 10:30 at night before we head to the waterfall, which you're going to see next.
That's perfect. And if you guys want to kiss, or perfect.
And this is when all of the stars aligned and we were actually treated to a sunset in Iceland, which is very, very rare.
All right, we're gonna try to get over this way.
Photographing inside a waterfall basically is incredibly challenging because as soon as you dry your lens off, it's instantly wet again. So I just kind of went through a cycle of drying it off, taking a bunch of frames as fast as I could, and then drying it off again and again. And eventually I did a panorama of the entire scene.
We are finishing up the shoot here. It's midnight, which is funny. And I'm flying my drone at midnight and it's still sunny out. We were at the waterfall. We risked not our lives, but our clothing in order to get maybe the best shot I've ever taken. Basically the way that I shot it was pano 8 frames, and I'm gonna stitch them all together because all I had was a 28mm lens. I wish I would have brought my super wide. I did not bring my super wide. That is one regret from today. So I'm gonna finish up flying the Mavic to get a little bit of B-roll, and then we are going to go back to our cabin. And I don't know, what do you do? I'm very awake, I'm still in Eastern time, so I think maybe have a hot tub or something. I think the best photo that I've ever seen of this waterfall is from directly behind it as the sun is setting just on the horizon, coming and lighting it all up pink. And that's exactly what we got today at 12 midnight. So we're very lucky that we got here at exactly the right time. We kind of hustled to just get over there, but we got the shot that we wanted.
In the next video, we're going to go through 5 things that you can do to start booking even more weddings, both locally and around the world.